Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Ran into Matthew Haynes of that company yesterday. He wants to thank everyone for the business they are getting right now. Part of that thanks, of course, is to you. Part of it's to me and this wonderful show that you're watching and you respond to, which I appreciate. Part of it also, though, I have to give credit to the mosquitoes, because people are sick and tired of the mosquitoes in their yard. They're calling Southeast Termite and Pest Control to treat their yard, to kill the mosquitoes. And you should too. If you have termites, if you have mosquitoes, whatever bug, creature, critter you have in your yard or creeping into your house, do what I do. Call Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right. The News Sentinel found this week that within 12 hours of former Vol A.J. Johnson being accused of rape, Butch Jones was on the phone with a local civil attorney. 3 calls were made on that November 16, 2014. According to the Sentinel, within weeks of the calls, Johnson hired 3 lawyers from a firm connected to the attorney that Jones had called. And then within months, Ritchie Tractor and Ritchie Power Sports, also connected to the man Jones called, wound up hiring Johnson for a job. And I believe he still works there. Johnson started the job after he had already graduated from UT and after he'd been suspended from the team. So my question, and I may be missing the point here, but my question is, so? I mean, I talk about a lot of the great stuff the Sentinel does. We promote it on this show. They do some great stuff. You guys do a lot of good work over there. That one, I may be missing it, but to me, even if those phone calls led to Johnson getting a job after he graduated, led to him getting the right attorney, I don't see any problem there. Am I missing something, or what do you think the theory behind this thing was? And I put you in a bad situation. I apologize.
No, not a bad situation at all. I think through the Freedom of Information Act, you got all the phone calls, and I think through just doing thorough investigation under the leaving no stone unturned approach. Okay, here's this phone call right after, within hours to this guy, and later gets. I think it was just saying this is maybe interesting. But then maybe there's not a whole lot there. When he made that call, I don't think he called up Mr. Ritchie and said, hey, AJ just got charged with rape. Can you get him a job?
Right.
And I don't think he said, hey, where do you want to go eat tonight? Where do you want to go get a pizza tonight? I think it was obviously about legal matters.
Yep.
And is there anything wrong with that? Well, not that we know necessarily.
Not from an NCAA point of view.
You're right. He got the job 6 months after he graduated. So, I don't think, and I don't think the story suggested that there was anything wrong. Just maybe throwing it out there for.
It's almost like it was disconnecting some dots or something.
Yeah.
We filed this Freedom of Information request, and we saw the one thing I wondered about is you asked Coach Jones, hey, you made these calls, you talked for 17 minutes. What'd you talk about? Don't remember. Well, you never called the person before, it looked like, and you've never called them since. But,
Well, of course you remember. But here's the thing, too. I go back to this. Unless I know exactly what the conversation was about, I don't have a huge issue with it. So I know Butch Jones talked to Dre Bowles twice. I don't know what he said to him.
Right.
So without knowing that, does it raise a little bit of a red flag? You want, okay, well, there was a conversation. I wonder what they said. But if I don't know and I'm on a jury, I can't convict. Based on the fact that he made a phone call to Ritchie.
Bob, are we to the point now where, and I understand where Mike's going from. I actually had that in the script. Is this a case of simply, this is an interesting twist to the story and we're writing it just as an interesting twist? Here's an aside. But have we gotten to the point now with this UT thing, whether it's a list of lawyers or this, is it now anything that comes out looks fishy?
Yeah, I think so. I think as long as you've got the issues hanging over Tennessee's head, everything you do is going to make some people go, why did they do that? I thought the list of lawyers was a fairly natural thing because of what I said earlier about young kids. You don't really live in the town, et cetera, et cetera. This one, to me, I don't see anything fishy about it. As a matter of fact, I would have expected Butch Jones to be in contact with somebody over these things. And as far as giving him a job, for all we know, they go, hey, this A.J. Johnson seems like a really great kid. He's looking for something. He's not moving out of town anytime soon. We can bring him on here and help him out a little bit. So nothing about that story. I read it. I went back. I actually read it a second time because I thought I had missed something.
Missed the hook.
Mm-hmm. And I just think it is what it is. Yep, they talked. He's got a job.
Whoopee. Again, that was an interesting aside. But I don't think it matters
Yeah.
in the grand scheme. And I think if you're a Tennessee fan, I think you're going to see more of this because a lot of folks
Yes.
have done the Freedom of Information stuff. A lot of
Yes.
people have the phone records. I think people are going to be dialing together and say, well, look at this. Well, look at this. Some of it may be, wow, this is not good. Some of it, like a few weeks ago, the Butch Jones got phone calls from the cops. And we all talked
Yeah.
about it. We said, that happens everywhere. Then we saw the timeline. And Butch Jones got a call from the cops 5 hours or 4 hours before his players found out they were or before the cops got there to investigate this rape. That doesn't look good. Now, that's somebody that's doing the same thing, connecting the dots of the phone records. That one didn't look good. I think you're going to continue to see things like this pop up. Whether or not they're just an aside or there's some meat on the bones will depend on the story. But I do think for those people who are prone to believe UT's up to something, each one of these just gets blurred into the memory somehow. Well,
Yeah.
they did something with a lawyer list. And it just becomes part of this general smokescreen that's out there. So anyway, when we come back, the Big 12 is talking about expansion. Memphis is already campaigning to get a slot. Not even going to talk Memphis basketball. If Memphis landed in the Big 12, how big of an issue would it be for Tennessee football-wise? Come back on the Sports Source.